And then nowadays, what is the average amount of money you're buying or investing into a couch?
I'd like to say 650 on average,
And then on average, how much are you selling those couches for now?
at least like 1800. I realized I have to spend more money because before I would spend like $100 on a couch that's filthy, that needed a lot of work, that took up so much of my time. Of course, the newer couches still take up a little bit of my time, but I just know that it's in a better condition, better quality, and I know I could get more for it. To all the women out there that want to do this, I would just say, as cliched as it is, just
What if I told you there's a secret to snapping up the best couches before anyone else even knows they're for sale? Meet Ivy Flip, the game-changing app designed for the savvy couch flipper. Why trudge through endless listings when you can be first in line for the best deals? With our instant listing notifications for Facebook, Craigslist, and OfferUp, you're always the first to know, ensuring you never miss out on a prime opportunity. This means more deals, more flips, and more profit. Ready to unlock the secret to top-tier couch flipping? Download Ivy Flip now and stay ahead of the curve. Click the link in the description or search Ivy Flip in the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store and get started today for free.
Hi, Joyce.
hey, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining me at the Couch Conference to do this recording.
Thank you for having me. It's such a great opportunity.
So this is the first annual Couch Conference thrown by Nick Reichert of The Good Couch, one of the bigger flippers in the country. I think there are about 50 people coming out to attend this event. I'm really happy to be here and excited to sit down with you today to learn a little bit more about your business and, just to chat.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm super excited to learn and meet everyone too, including yourself. So, yeah.
Awesome. So why don't you tell me and our audience what got you into the game? Like, how did you get into couch flipping? Would love a little bit of context in your story here.
Well, I came from a corporate America background, and my husband, he is in the window cleaning. Like, he used to do a lot of cleaning. So my husband, he actually got me into the business, or he gave me the idea to really. One of his customers gave us their entire house except for the house, and one of them was a couch, and he basically gave me the idea to try it. I tried it out, and it just kind of went from there, and I just kept being consistent with it, and here we are today.
Mm-hmm. So you were in corporate America. What were you doing there?
I was working in operations for an international fitness company, and operations entailed not necessarily sales, like it was more customer service, yes, but member retention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at the presentation later, I'll kind of like tie into like how my background really helped me with my business and in terms of like branding it too.
So you were in corporate America, working in operations, fitness company. You flipped your first couch, and there was something about that spoke to you, that made you want to keep doing it. So what exactly was that? What made you stick with it and keep flipping couches?
I'll be honest with you. At first, it was the money, honestly, because I mean, even though I worked in corporate America, I was making like barely anything. It was really hard to like get by. And honestly, I loved my job. I saw myself like climbing up the ladder, and I was getting there. I was pretty well known in my company, but the moment I like started flipping it, I kept doing it more, and to the point where I just wanted to call off work, which I never did. That's when I knew like I just had to do something about it. But then I saw like I saw the benefits of like flipping in a sense of like sustainability in that aspect.
So the money was really good, and I get that. A lot of I think why people get into couch flipping, I hear this story over and over and over again, is I was working a job, I was making a couple $1,000s a month. Mm-hmm. I flipped one couch, I made like $1,000 on that flip. I'm like, I made more money in 4 hours flipping a couch than I did all week at work. And so that is a very common and relatable story that I think a lot of couch flippers share. And I talk about this here and there, but like my parents, they're immigrants to this country. My mom came from Korea. My dad came from Cambodia. He's a refugee. Mm-hmm. And, my dad escaped a genocide. And when he came over to this country, he told me the story. He saw a guy driving a Camaro, and he looked up the price of that Camaro. It was something like $15,000, $16,000 back in the 1980s. And my dad was working initially, he was making like $1 or $2 per hour. And he was like, how am I ever going to afford a Camaro? And he started doing odd jobs and then eventually took more of the entrepreneurial route himself. At one point, he had a couple stores in Chinatown selling counterfeit merchandise. And I think, there's a period of my life where my family was doing quite well because of that. But the thing about America that my dad always impressed upon me is that there's opportunity here. That if you want to work hard and apply yourself, that there are ways for you to elevate yourself and your family. And those opportunities don't exist in many other parts of the world. For example, I went to Cambodia in 2015, and the thing that was really stark to me about that experience is, there are kids 4 or 5 years old that are just roaming around, no parental supervision, and they're just begging for money. And those kids really don't have opportunities, right? Even if they wanted to go to school, learn, and let's say they even did go to school, right? What happens when you get out of school? There's no economy there. And I think the thing about America is like, yes, there is that opportunity. That opportunity is becoming, it seems like, less and less as we get into, 2023, 2024, compared to what it was 2-3 decades ago. So that's why, Ivy Flip, like our company even got into the game to begin with as well, is we're looking for ways to create those kinds of opportunities for people. We're investigating side hustles. We came across couch flipping and we realized that there is something here. There's a community of people that are working hard trying to make money. And so, your story makes a lot of sense. Now, the thing that is unique about your story compared to everyone else is your background. So I'll tell you, literally 1% of our customers at Ivy Flip are women. Couch flipping is a heavily male dominated industry. And, in a way it makes sense in that you're dealing with heavy couches. You got to move it in and out of people's homes. And then I think there's also an added risk factor for the fact that you're like meeting random people on the internet and going in and out of their homes that a lot of women are not going to be as comfortable with. So I'd love to hear sort of your perspective on, the challenges and strengths that you may have encountered, like in terms of your experience getting into couch flipping.
I feel like I didn't, okay, when I started, I didn't know that this was like a male dominated industry until, I found the couch flipping group and I was like, oh my gosh, these are like mostly guys. Even meeting up with some of the attendees, they were all guys. I was the only girl.
It sounds like when you started couch flipping, it didn't even occur to you that what you're doing is unique, that this is a primarily male dominated industry. And that was a surprise to you when you found out. And so for you going into it, it was kind of like, well, this is just like a normal thing.
Yeah, basically, I thought it was a normal thing. And I would get underestimated a lot, honestly, by like even like my customers. And I guess it's weird, but like what also drove me to like want to like just do really well in this industry was, I don't know, just sounds kind of weird, but just to kind of like prove myself like right that I can do this. It was honestly so hard, like moving couches at first, but then I guess eventually like I got stronger out of that too. And I just had to like figure it out. And I've never been like the type to get like, I don't mind getting my hands dirty. Like if I have to, I've never been that type to worry about that. So I guess that also ties into or helps me with this.
So I think there are a couple. So you said that you felt like your customers were underestimating you, or maybe other people looking at your business underestimated you. Tell me about that feeling. Like, where did that come from? And what is this? What are they underestimating you at?
I think they're underestimating just like my strength in doing this too. I can't like lift a couch with both hands off over the top of my head, but I could still like load up a truck by myself if I want to. Now I know, in the past I used to scratch my truck a lot, yes, but now I know how to maneuver that and stuff. But help is great, but I don't need someone to help me anymore. Like usually when I go to pickups, like I'll do it. Of course, like I'll ask the customer to help me, or I don't ask them. I just tell them, hey, I'll be coming by myself. Help is appreciated, but I usually just bring a dolly and I do it. I'm the type to just try to figure it out. But in terms of the underestimating part, it's definitely the strength aspect. I like when I deliver a couch, they're like, oh, you loaded this by yourself? And I'm like, Yeah, I did. So,
Yeah, and even for male couch flippers, we hear reports of similar experiences where they're like, "Are you really gonna load this yourself?" And they're like, "Yeah, watch me." Right? So I think some flippers it's a point of pride, their
yeah.
ability to move and know how to maneuver the couch into the truck and vice versa.
hmm
Do you think there are any other challenges in flipping couches that were unique to your experience? Because the reason I ask is not because I'm underestimating your ability as a woman or anything like that, but because I think there are a lot of women that are interested in pursuing this as a side hustle, but they have concerns about whether or not they can do it. And your story can be really inspiring to those people because if they see you succeeding and doing really well, better than most male couch flippers, quite frankly, they might think to themselves, why can't I do something just like she is?
I don't even know if this is words of encouragement, but like, why can't you do it? I mean, that's what I always ask myself. Why are you going to limit yourself? If you're curious about it, just try it. And I don't even know if that's encouraging, but that's my mentality too.
Tell me about how your business is going right now. How long have you been in business?
So I've been doing this for 3 years. March of 21 is when I started full time. I just moved into a warehouse. I've been operating out of my home. So I moved on the 1st of November and it's 3,500 square foot. So that was definitely a big risk, and to all the women and men out there, definitely just take that risk. I just invested a lot of money, my own money, into brand new inventory. I had brand new cloud couches that came in, and I have another set of new inventory arriving like within the next 2 weeks. So, I mean, I believe my business is going well. I'm definitely looking to scale it. I don't really have like a plan in set, but I just know that whatever it is, I'm going to make it happen and I'll figure it out.
So you're operating out of your home until November. Wait, is it November of this year?
Yeah.
Oh, literally. So like a couple weeks ago, you moved into this warehouse. So at your house, how many couches could you store previously?
I think the most that I've stored, because I had a 20 by 20 in the back and then I used my garage, but at least 20 the most. But that's like if I don't want to set anything up.
And now you have a 3,500 square foot warehouse. Now, what has the impact been to your operations?
I mean, the space is definitely helpful. I feel like it just, not that I wasn't professional before, but so the underestimation part also comes into like me operating from my house. A lot of people might not take the business seriously because I operate from a house, even though it is a business, right?
Mm.
And I carry myself in that manner, but having a warehouse definitely helps in terms of that aspect. And yeah, just being able to like display all your couches out for customers to see. Yeah, that's a huge plus. But
So you're using it as storage and a showroom as well.
yes, I do have to organize it, but I'm using it for both.
Mm. And prior to having the warehouse, would people come to your house to view couches?
Yeah, they did. So a precautionary thing that I mentioned earlier, especially being a woman or just even a guy, whenever a customer wants to view the couch, what I would do is give them the street address. I would confirm with them the night before or the day of. And once I get that confirmation, then I'll send over my full address. So that's what I did. I don't like to provide the full address for those reasons.
Right. So, they're definitely coming.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's risky in general, I think, to be giving away your home address because you're dealing with random people on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any other things that you did, like as a precautionary step when it came to meetups?
Honestly, no. Nothing. I feel like the people that are actually serious, like you get a gauge of like, plus I think as you converse with them, you'll get a gauge of what the vibe is, right? So I didn't really do anything because once I give them like the street address, I'm like, okay, I feel like they're not going to be sketchy.
So when you're conversing with a potential seller or buyer, give me an example of how those conversations would tend to unfold. Like, what is a standard interaction with like a seller or buyer for you?
I mean, it depends on like how the conversation starts, I guess. And so in what aspect do you mean?
What kinds of questions do you typically get from buyers that give you a sense of if they're like serious buyer or not?
Usually when they ask me more specific questions, I feel like when they ask me like, hey, like what are the dimensions or, just more specific to the couch, and then they're interested in scheduling a viewing. And then once we start to talk about the scheduling, then I guess it goes from there. I mean, there are a lot of customers or potential buyers that reach out and like the conversation goes nowhere. They're just messaging you just to message you. But, I feel like after like the third response, then you'll know that like this is someone that's very serious.
Mm-hmm. So you made this investment very recently, getting the warehouse. What was your thought process leading up to making that decision? What were some of the things that you had to be confident about in your business for you to, take on this, I'm assuming, pretty major expense for the business now?
I knew that because before I was so comfortable I was like, I have no overhead, but I knew that I wanted to grow, and I just had that strong urge to grow. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. Sometimes it's a bad thing, but I'm impulsive with my decisions, and I just decided just to do it. And when I had the cloud couches come in, and I thought I could have everything at my house, but I'm so glad I got that warehouse. Having that warehouse is going to just help me scale to another level. And yeah, I mean, it was a big risk, but I definitely don't regret it. So,
Are you comfortable sharing some numbers about your business? Because I think that would help it would help give people a frame of reference. Like at a certain stage of growth, here's the kinds of investments other people are making, and how those investments are paying off, et cetera.
yes.
Okay, cool. So let's say in your average year, and you've been doing this since 2021, operating out of your house, what sort of revenue numbers would you put up?
Okay, I'm going to just give you a guess off the top of my head. I didn't look, but I'm going to say like at least 150 to 200 between that frame.
So let's say you were doing anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 a month in gross sales, and then you're operating out of your house. It sounds like you're extremely profitable on those numbers as well. And I mean, your predominant cost is probably what you're paying for couches then in the old model.
Yeah, what I'm paying for couches. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And now moving forward, 3,500 square foot warehouse, about what does that run you in terms of monthly rent now?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So monthly expenses just for the business, just for the warehouse alone, including utilities, is at least $4,000.
Wow.
Honestly, I wasn't that good with money before. I would just spend my money, like not on just random stuff. It'd just be on couches and stuff. But now I'm figuring out like how to save and spend my money the right way. So let's say I purchased a couch for 500. I'm just going to make sure I keep that 500 for inventory. And then I created like 10 different bank accounts for different things, sales tax, inventory, my bills for the business, all that stuff, just so I could allocate my money.
Be organized, make sure you have enough to cover different expenses, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge jump up, going from basically zero additional expense other than what your mortgage is, right?
Yeah.
And then taking on $4,000 additional a month, almost $50,000 a year. So have you done the math to figure out like what like how much more in sales you have to be making for you to get ROI on the warehouse?
No, I haven't. I just know that I have to sell, like, let's say the brand new cloud couches. For me to not be like in the red zone, I have to sell at least 15. But that's to cover my expenses for personal and the business, and just a little extra money for myself. But yeah,
15 a month.
Yeah, that's just for the brand new cloud couches.
And then anything else on top of that, whether it's a used couch or extra new couches, that's just like pure profit.
Yeah, basically. Even if I sold 10 of the cloud couches, I'll be fine. But because you just never know.
And you were saying earlier that you can be maybe a little impulsive with your spending. Now, did you mean with respect to spending in the business or personal spending?
Oh, in the business, I hardly ever buy myself anything, but it's in the business. Like I've gotten cash for so many times because I bought it on inventory. Now I'm fine, but I definitely don't want to continue to make that mistake again. Hence doing, all the bank accounts and stuff. So
Makes sense. And then the cloud couches, that's also a huge investment for you, right? But you were doing that before the warehouse. Now you have the warehouse and you're buying, I assume, pallets of new cloud couches.
yeah, so I ordered the cloud couches before I moved into the warehouse. I just had 41 sets arrive about 2 weeks ago. And this is the first time ever buying new inventory. So this is a new market for me. I'm trying to figure it out. I have another order. This is from a separate order outside of the cloud couches arriving in a couple of weeks too.
So you just bought 2 pallets of brand new furniture, and you have invested in this warehouse, $4,000 a month. I mean, you must be feeling some pressure right now. So tell me about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I'm like 40K deep, right? For all the inventory that I spent. I mean, I have sold some inventory, but that's just how much I invested. So I have to figure it out, and before my model, okay, so when I first started, it was higher volume, lower profit, but that's when I didn't know what I was doing. And then I started transitioning to wanting to sell higher end brands, lower volume, higher profit. But now I'm like, okay, I have to get volume going, and it's crazy. It's not that crazy, I guess, but recently over this past weekend, I finally sold the cloud couches. I sold 5, which was better than not selling any for the last week or so. But I realized I just like making a sale and having that customer be happy, which it's always been like that, but just it was a bigger realization this past weekend.
It hit a little bit different.
Yeah, because initially my goal is to make at least 50% of what I invest, but that's not always going to happen. And that was my vision for the new inventory that I have, but that definitely isn't going to happen. I think it's going to be 30 to maybe 30 to 40% of profit that I'll be making on the new ones, which, I'll take it. So.
Right. And, the big, I think, underestimated factor in your ability to be profitable on these new couches or any couches that you bring in general, moving forward, is just the rate at which you turn them over. So, and I've done this analysis with a couple other flippers, but whatever you pay in storage costs, you divide that by the number of couches you have, and in a given month, you add that as that is an additional expense that you're incurring per couch to sell that couch. So let's say, for example, you have a storage unit, it costs $1,000. That can fit 10 couches. If the couch sits in storage for a month, that means you're paying $100 to store that couch. So if you're taking a month to flip a couch, then, maybe the original purchase price of that couch was $100, but now you've doubled what your cost of goods is essentially for that couch, right? And so turnover rate is extremely important for healthy couch flipping businesses. And per our analysis, we see something like the best couch flippers are turning over inventory in about a week or less. Like people who are doing well turn over in about 2 weeks or less. And then, people who are doing less well, 3 weeks or more. And so that seems to be such a critical number in assessing the healthiness of the couch flipping business. And, what's interesting is I have talked to 2 other couch flippers that are doing quite well for themselves, but that have also just gotten into new couches, and their experiences are a little bit different. So one of them, based out of Miami, it's him and a partner. They do about $34,000 a month in revenue. And then the other person was Dante. And the ones in Miami, they got this pallet of new couches, and they've sold maybe half of it in 3 months. And so, the storage and the investment that they've made in some new couches just didn't really work out for them, and hasn't been working out for them. They're still trying to recover from that in a way. but their used couch business is strong.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like they're necessarily hurting for cash at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Dante, you've talked to Dante, probably heard about his story and experience selling new couches, but that initial truckload, he did really well with. But he just brought on 2 pallets, I believe, recently, like in the past month or two. And the past 2 pallets have been a little bit more challenging for him. So I think what I see is a lot of couch flippers, particularly the ones that are coming to this conference, are the ones that are elevating their business from being more than just a side hustle to something more robust, like an actual, like not that, like a lower scale business isn't an actual business, but you understand my point. They're trying to take things to the next level, and a common route that a lot of couch flippers are like going down is to buy new furniture. And so I think we're going to see more and more conversation happening around like taking a jump like that, and then ultimately sharing of strategies to be successful with new pallets of furniture. So you're still in the early days, but just in the experience that you've had so far, receiving these 2 new pallets, what's what's something you've learned in that process?
I guess my expectations in terms of like how fast I really thought that I was going to sell them quickly. But of course, like maybe my pricing was too high. So, and that's expectations, right? Like I can't make as much as I thought that I would, which is okay. It was disappointing for maybe like, until last weekend that I barely got any sales. I got probably 2. Mm-hmm. But now that I figured out pricing, I feel like, it's going to definitely help me push these out faster. And my goal is to just reinvest into, all the money that I'm basically getting for those couches that I spent on, I'm reinvesting it back into buying other like more new products. And I feel like when you buy new inventory, it's going to help you step up. Like it's like from your competition, like in your area too.
No, it makes sense. And like, I've been checking out your social media, and you're making boss moves. You know what I mean? Like I see the warehouse, I see the cloud couches, like that's some really dope stuff. And I get this all the time too. I think people sometimes they look at like me, what I'm doing in business, and they think like, oh, he's got it made. And what they don't realize is, yes, there are positive things about what I'm doing and my lifestyle. And, I've worked very hard to get to this point in my life, but you don't see what's going on under the surface. And, the reality for Ivy Flip, we're not profitable as a company. We lose money every single month to this day. We've been in business for a year and a month. And we are on track to becoming profitable in the very near future. So that's the good news. But in reality, we have burned close to $500,000 since last year, November last year, right? And that is a lot of pressure, right? When you look at your bank account balance and it goes down month over month, and you're not sure if it's going to stop, when it's going to stop, there's a lot of pressure associated with that. And so I think similarly for you, it's like you just shell that 40K, right? And that's not money you raised. That's like money you earned. Like that's hard earned money. And so you're putting a lot on the line. And so when people look at your business and they see the success, they don't understand the cost either, the pressure that you've created for yourself. But I think, it seems like that's what you mean by, it forces you to step up in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I like to challenge myself.
So it must have been a big sigh of like relief for you then, this past weekend, where you finally started unloading some of those couches.
Oh yeah, definitely. And one thing that really helped is I'm starting to outsource my work. So I used to do all the deliveries and stuff, but actually found a partner who does deliveries for me, and the customer pays. And it's just been super convenient. So that helps like relieve the stress in that aspect.
In terms of like your overall operations, up until you brought in this delivery partner, were you like a totally solo operation? So like everything from like sourcing, selling, lifting, pickup, delivery, cleaning, like staging, listing.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I have a virtual assistant. She helps with graphic designing, which helps with my branding. And if I ask her to message customers, she will, but I know that's not her strong suit. So everything else, I've been doing. My husband helps me out every now and then, but he has his own business, to take care of. So it's very rare, which I understand. But yeah, I've basically been doing all the work by myself. I do outsource my upholstery work though. I found a local store like near my place and they'll reupholster my cushions if needed. If you don't have one, I recommend you finding an upholsterer.
Well, I know a lot of couch flippers, they'll just avoid couches that need upholstery work.
Oh, I don't. I mean, if I know that I could get the fabric at least. Let's say that, there's a higher end couch and that they sell fabric by the yard. Why not just buy the fabric by the yard and pay someone to just do it? Yes, it's going to cost money, but if you know that you can make a good return on it, then why not?
So to you, that's a slam dunk a lot of the times. Like you get a higher end couch and it just needs a little bit of upholstery work. Like you're gonna buy that 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. So I found a couch for $700. I think I spent about $300 in the fabric and then $300 for the work. And then I sold it for $4,500.
Wow.
And that was before I listed it. It was to a returning customer. And this customer actually bought another couch for me for like $2,500. Never even came by to look at the couch, but she just, I was communicating with her through my website and she trusted me, which is really awesome. So she bought both couches sight unseen within a month from each other. Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm learning about you just as we're chatting here is like you do not shy away from risk. Because I know a lot of couch flippers, they've been running their business 2-3 years. And they still will not put more than like $200-$300 into a couch.
Yeah. When I started looking into selling getting into a higher profit margin, I realized I have to spend more money. Because before I would spend like $100 on a couch that's filthy, that needed a lot of work, that took up so much of my time. Of course, the newer couches still take up a little bit of my time, but I just know that it's in a better condition, better quality, and I know I could get more for it. Yeah, I think the most I spent on a couch, I don't think I'll ever do again, was $2,800.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, and it honestly took a little while for me to sell, so I learned my lesson on that end. But I mean, I ended up selling it for $44 after a month. So
let's get into the numbers of the old business model, which is higher volume, lower margin, versus the new. Actually, it's just lower margin versus higher margin because maybe the volume is about the same. I don't know. Let's get into that, right? But you would buy a couch for $100, $200. You flip it for average of what? This is before I really knew much, okay? But if I bought a couch for $100, let's say I'll just sell it for, depends, maybe $400 to $500, maybe even $600. Honestly, that group helped a lot. I would get a couch and I didn't know what to price it at. But if I got that couch now, knowing what I know now, I would probably price it for a bit higher. And then nowadays, what is the average amount of money you're buying or investing into a couch? I'd like to say $650 on average. And then on average, how much are you selling those couches for now? At least $1,800. $1,800, wow. Yeah. And is your overall volume the same, or have you started doing less volume as well? Less volume. So my best month was 19, and that was when I was working at home. And I sold, I think maybe 12 couches. Not bad. But before, when I did more volume, and I think the most I sold was probably 30, but I made, this is when I first started too, but I made I think $7,000. That was probably the most I've ever sold. And then I just, wow. Okay. So you made $7,000 revenue or profit? Revenue off of 30 couches. But that was before I knew anything, right? And that was when I would stay up really late. I worked hard, but not smart. I mean, 30 couches a month is no joke. You know?
Yeah, it's no joke, but I definitely like didn't know what I was doing, right? Because before my mentality was like, hey, if I could just make $50 on it, then that's fine.
Right.
But
So-
then I realized I put so much work into it. You know, like we all put a lot of work into it. So why not charge for the price that it deserves? So
if you had a little bit more margin on those couches, 30 couches a month, like that's a good thing, right? Like if you can sell 30 couches in a month, that means your output is extremely high. And depending on how much you have to hold in inventory in order to sell those 30 couches and what your cost of storage is, there's a business model there. You're going to have to work a little bit harder than if you're selling 12 or 15 couches, right? It's literally half the number of flips. But there are people out there that are willing to put in that work. And if they're the work doesn't bother them and they're able to make a healthy profit margin, that can be a good place to be in your business, right? So, for example, you sell 30 couches, you're making $500 gross profit per couch. That means, you buy it for 100, you sell it for 6, 500 gross profit. You're making $15,000 gross profit.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I think for me, the reason why I chose to do less volume, higher profit is just because it's just me. So I didn't want to continue to put that strain onto my body and onto myself. So, I think both models are great. Even like I'm learning to integrate both.
You got to know yourself, right? You got to know yourself. You got to know your goals. So if it is just you and you kind of want to keep the business, like you want to be in a place where you're comfortable with your business. Because some people, their goal is not to make as much money as possible, scale their business, to the highest extent possible. Like they're looking for a comfortable lifestyle. They want to, have free time, spend that time with their family, go on trips, etc. And so in that case, it makes sense to optimize around your highest value flips because you're doing virtually the same amount of work to flip a couch for $500 that you are for $1,200. And in that case, like you're just pricing your time differently, right? Like it's not worth my time to go pick up this couch and flip it for $500 insofar as there's an ample supply of couches I can flip for 12. But other people may have different ambitions. And once again, that's a personal decision. There's no right or wrong to that. And so for people that really do want to push things to the limit, and maybe they start hiring, have employees, like it probably behooves them to have a mix, right? You're going to get a couple couches. You're going to pick it up, for a couple hundred, flip it, make $1,000, $2,000. Great. But maybe they can't expect that like flow to be as consistent as a couch that they can flip for $500. And so when they're faced with the choice of today, I could either do nothing or I could go pick up this couch that I can flip for $500. It makes sense for them to go pick up that couch for $500. What I would say is if you start scaling your business and bringing on employees, then that also forces your hand too, because you are more impacted by the variability of waiting for a higher ticket sale. Because you need your cash flow to be more consistent because your expenses are higher. And you can't just like hole up in your house, right? And wait for the next sale.
No, I agree with that. So having a comfortable lifestyle, that was what I'll be honest, I'm totally winging it in this business. I think every day I've been winging it, but I know that I wanted to, but it was recently that I was like, I'm just going to take it to another level. Like, yes, I created my website earlier this year and I wanted to rebrand, but the reason why I transitioned to doing the lower volume, higher margin was for a comfortable lifestyle. But now I'm realizing like too that, I have to keep it pushing. I need to have that cash flow because I do want to actually hire more people. I can't be doing this by myself. And so I'm just saying that I agree with what you're saying. Cause when you hire people, like it's not, their lives are in your hands too, right? Like you have to make sure that they're taken care of. And how are you going to level up if you're going to do the work by yourself? Like you need to have like a team around you. So
right.
I agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, often like you have to take care of your people before you take care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about being a founder, CEO, etc. So what are your goals for the business moving forward? Like where would you like to see yourself with your business in let's say like 2 years from now?
I definitely want to I want to move into a bigger location. Like that's number one. I want to move into a bigger location, somewhere that's a little bit more safe because I'm paying a really good price for my warehouse considering the size and it's Southern California, but the area is not the best. And I want to have it be automated for the most part without me being there physically.
Mhm.
And I know that in order to do that, like I need to have like a system in place. And I also need to make sure that like my books are all in order too, making sure that I have, I make enough money to like be able to afford to hire someone. So that's what I want to do. And so with the new orders that are arriving within a few weeks, I got coffee tables. Well, I only got one of each. I got 5 different kinds because I wanted to I know nothing about coffee tables, but I want to start selling other furniture other than couches. So, in 2 years, I want to start selling like, higher end like dining tables and outdoor furniture and maybe beds. Who knows? But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really cool. I mean, you're definitely blazing your own trail here,
yeah,
because in this community of couch flippers, people are making moves and they're like sort of in lockstep with how these movements are happening, and at the very cutting edge of people that are in this business model are the ones like buying new pallets, upgrading to warehouses, but very few couch flippers that I've talked to have on their horizon the idea of also incorporating other types of furniture. But to me, this is actually the natural progression of how this industry will evolve. And that's why I think what's happening at this couch conference is so interesting, is that this industry is becoming more organized, more professional, and it's happening right now. And so the 50 people that are turning out for this event today, it's the first meeting of the minds. And the conversations and the networking and the connections that are forged today, I think are really going to be influential in seeing how this network of unaffiliated but affiliated people across the country start to develop and evolve their businesses in the years to come. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 2-3 years you have a bunch of like-minded individuals spread out all over the country that have brick and mortar retail storefronts. They're selling a mix of used couches, new couches, and they're also incorporating other types of furniture as well. And let's say, you do well with these dining tables. I'm sure you're going to come back and share that knowledge with the community. Other people are going to hear that, say, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Why don't I do that? And then other people will start doing that as well. This is how I've seen these trends evolving, right? For example, Dylan Pavia, who was on the podcast the other day, he did really well with this couch drop thing, and other people took note of that. Now, lots of other people across the country, they're also executing this couch drop strategy. Roman Pennell, same thing. He's been doing really, really well with the pickup ads, and he talked about that on the podcast. People are taking note of that. Dylan actually came back to me a couple of weeks later. Hey, like your podcast really helped my business. Like Roman's advice really helped my business. We started running pickup ads, and like we have started picking up couches for free that we would normally not have access to. At Ivy, we started flipping couches too. We're doing the couch drop group thing. In fact, our e-commerce site is called Ivy Couch Drops.
Nice.
Yeah. And we've been running pickup ads as well. And so, we're, as much as we think we can like help lead the industry in terms of technology solutions that we're developing, we're students of the game equally. And it's always interesting and inspiring to connect with other entrepreneurs that are taking little steps forward, doing things a little bit differently, and then seeing what's working for them and trying to apply that to our own business as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited for the convention. I feel like this is so fundamental. I know there was controversy when this was first posted, But I feel like everyone that's here, it's definitely going to be fundamental. We're going to be changing the game and just bringing a new light into couch flipping. I mean, sorry to get off track, but my husband is on the board of an international window cleaning association. And window cleaning, I mean, it sounds easy, right? Like maybe you could just wipe the window down, but I mean, their focus, I mean, this is a huge nonprofit organization now, but they implement safety. And I feel like, as we grow, everyone in the convention, as we continue to get together, we can find like other ways to teach too. But yeah, I'm really excited. And to all the women out there that want to do this, I would just say, as cliched as it is, just take the risk. I mean, I think like for me, I feel like because I was underestimated a lot, it just fueled my fire to want to succeed. And yes, even though it's a male dominated industry, I've also learned, I know it's hard to like not see what other people are doing and sometimes get discouraged or encouraged, but I've just learned to like keep my head down and work and figure it out. I know there are women in this industry that are killing it, they're doing really well. And I just think just in any industry too, it's always a learning process. There was so much trial and error for me. I'm still learning now. I mean, I would just say to do it. And if you have specific questions, you could definitely reach out to me and I could have a better answer for you, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I think any, prospective female flipper or current female flipper, that probably would mean a lot to them if they could reach out, connect with you.
Yeah.
I've gone through this in various aspects of my life too, but it's important to have role models that like you share perspective or identity with, right? So you can sort of see yourself in their shoes. Yeah, I think if we put this out there, that some people might take you up on that offer. Now we're sort of on this subject, right? It's the conference has been controversial. A lot of our content at Ivy Flip has been very, very controversial. But you seem open to this idea of like encouraging people to get into the game of couch flipping.
Why not?
The argument.
Yeah, I mean, I know the argument.
Yeah, the argument is like you're creating your own competition, and that means there's like less food for you to eat because other people are eating that food. But you seem to have a different mindset, so could take a couple of moments and kind of explore your perspective here.
Well, I guess I was reading some of the comments in terms of the controversial aspect. Okay, so maybe my answer might be, I don't know if bias is the right word, considering that I'm coming from a very populated part of the country. So I guess in terms of that aspect, I feel like everyone can eat. Everyone can eat, seriously. There are so many different flippers in my area that I'm connected with. And the upcoming pallets that I'm going to get, I'm actually splitting a container with another flipper. We're getting it from the same manufacturer, different items, but our goal is to work together in the future. Maybe in another state, but we just want to see how this goes first. And I feel like community is just so important. And I'm going to keep referring to my husband, but him being in that organization, being a board member, there are so many different window cleaners and pressure washers in Southern California that he's connected with. And they send each other referrals all the time. They ask each other for questions. They help each other out. And I think that's what's most important. And plus, I feel like anyone can get into this industry, but not everyone's going to stay. Because, I mean, it is a lot of hard work. And I think like anyone can do this, but it's just a matter of like prevailing.
Absolutely. And I've been thinking a lot about this because we are directly in the line of fire when it comes to the controversy around like competition, growing the industry, etc. Obviously, at Ivy Flip, we want the industry to grow.
Yeah.
It's in our best interest. But, we don't want to grow at the expense of our customers, people that are paying us money, particularly, right? Not that we don't care about our audience, but it's the people that are our customers that are the most important to us. And I understand where the fear comes from and why we get the backlash. Because if you've been operating your business in a certain way, like sourcing on marketplace, selling on marketplace, and it's been that way for 2-3 years, and you see more flippers getting into your market doing the same thing that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
then of course you're going to feel that pressure. A deal that used to be able to pick up for $200, maybe now you have to pay $400 for, or a deal that you could have waited an hour to respond to, maybe you have to be on top of immediately
Mm-hmm.
in order to get that same deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely get that. But the reality is that the industry is changing.
Oh, yeah.
More people are getting in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be successful at couch flipping, you're going to have to step it up.
Oh, definitely. You have to I'm learning how to do this, but I haven't implemented it yet, but especially because I got the new inventory, my focus has been elsewhere. But you can't just rely on Marketplace and those apps or websites, whether it's connecting with apartments or going the extra mile, not just relying on your phone or just sourcing the way that everyone else does.
In our company, we sell a sourcing technology, right? So it would seem like counter to our interest to say, like, you guys should diversify from sourcing on Marketplace. But that's exactly our message, right? It's that if you want to be successful at this, recognize that things are changing and you can't just rely on the same tactics that everyone else is relying on and has been doing for years. But there is an opportunity to continue to grow and be successful, but it's going to require something like shared knowledge and the growth of a community where different people are trying different things and sharing what's successful with the community so that you can try those things for yourself and see if it works for your lifestyle, your business model, and ultimately give you that longevity in the game that you're looking for. But absolutely, yes, if you're doing the same thing and you just want to stick to Marketplace, times are probably going to get tough.
I think IV Flip is a really good tool, and it should be one of the many ways that you should source. And I'm glad that you're at least conveying that message. Like, hey, we don't want, like, even if it goes against what you guys are doing, like, it's good that you're saying that. And I feel like other people, we should have that mindset.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And, we are unveiling some new tools that we've been working on at the conference today. So we have a cross-listing tool that allows you with the click of a button to list on your website, Facebook, OfferUp, Craigslist. And we'll have some new features coming out with that too. Automatic delisting, relisting. So for example, you have something listed on Facebook, it doesn't sell after a week. We can mark down the price for you. Let's say, yeah. So all sorts of little features associated with the cross-listing tool. We're also releasing a Teams product that we've been working on. We use it for our own flipping business. So if you have multiple people working in your flipping business, you have, some people on the ground doing pickups, deliveries, and then you have people that are doing sourcing and selling in front of a computer or phone. And then the communication between those parties needs to be integrated. So it's a platform that connects the two. So we're going to do some demos today and hopefully we get some good reception. But, our goal is to not just be the sourcing company. That was never our intention. Our goal is to build tech for the industry.
That is awesome. I'm actually really excited. Everything that you're saying, like, I'm very interested and I'm so excited to hear about this.
Very cool. Well, I'll go ahead and I think this has been a great chat so far.
Thank you.
But I think we can, kind of call it here.
Okay.
And then maybe I'll give you a demo and we can go through what, some IV tools are.
Yeah.
Like.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Joyce. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Okay.